On World News Tonight this Thursday, the House of Representatives decides President Clinton will face an impeachment inquiry.
It's an onerous, miserable, rotten duty, but we have to do it or we break faith with the people who sent us here.
Feeling the sting of the global economic crisis, it's American banks now. And the big sell from the drug companies. The sales pitch is so impressive, but what does it really mean? We'll take a closer look.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. We knew in advance what the outcome would be, but it was a dramatic turning point anyway, and it was sobering. For only the third time in the country's history, the Congress will decide whether a president deserves to be impeached and perhaps removed from office. After all that the country's been through in the last 8 or 9 months, it may seem merely an extension of Mr. Clinton's crisis. But now that there's going to be an impeachment process, there is no turning back. The House of Representatives voted 258 to 176 for a wide-ranging impeachment inquiry. 227 Republicans voted for it, and so did 31 Democrats. And there is real significance in those numbers, as we'll see. But first, we go to Capitol Hill and ABC's Linda Douglas. Linda.
Peter, before casting today's historic vote, the members quoted the Constitution, the Bible, even their children. The debate was deeply partisan, very fervent. The Democrats were charging that the Republicans are conducting a witch hunt, but the Republicans argued that the charges against the president are not trivial.
This is not about sexual misconduct any more than Watergate was about a third-rate burglary.
If perjury and obstruction of justice do not undermine the integrity of office, what offenses would?
This is not about sex. This is not about lying about sex. It is rather when under oath does one lie about sex.
Democrats charged whatever the president did, it was not impeachable.
The president betrayed his wife. He did not betray the country. God help this nation if we fail to recognize the difference.
Republicans want to do what they could not do in an election, defeat Bill Clinton. Well, I have news for you. The American people are watching. Beware the wrath of the American people. Mr. Speaker, beware.
We all know that the president's misconduct was bad. The question is, are we going to punish America instead of him for his misconduct?
Back and forth they went on the question of whether the Republicans are trying to drag out the investigation for partisan purposes.
So how can we vote today on an inquiry which has no standards, no rules of conduct, no time limit?
If the House votes down this inquiry, in effect, it will say that even if President Clinton committed as many as 15 felonies, nothing will happen.
Under the Republican plan, Congress will spend the next 2 years mired in hearings, tangled in testimony, and grinding its gears in partisan stalemate.
If we leave this president alone, if he committed these crimes, then we have undermined our Constitution and we have undermined our system of justice.
I rise today in opposition.
I rise in opposition. What seemed to catch fire with Democrats who lined up to criticize the Republicans' plan is the notion that the public doesn't want a wide-ranging investigation.
This investigation must be ended fairly and quickly. It has hurt our nation and it's hurt our children.
Popular or not, Republicans argued they have a duty to investigate fully and completely.
It's our duty. It's an onerous, miserable, rotten duty, but we have to do it or we break faith with the people who sent us here.
In the end, the Democrats' alternative, which would have limited the time and scope of the inquiry, failed, so the Republican plan will go forward. The investigation will now be carried on behind closed doors, and if there are public hearings, they won't happen, Peter, until after the election.
Thank you very much, Linda Douglas on Capitol Hill. The president said he was not going to watch the proceedings today, but you can bet that everyone else on the White House crisis team watched. The White House is normally very quick to react to this kind of turning point, these turn of events. ABC's Sam Donaldson is with us. Sam, the message from there today.
Well, Peter, no one here is trying to spin today's vote as favorable to the president. Obviously, they're happy the Democratic defections were no greater than they were. But to see a process begin that could result in Mr. Clinton's removal from office is not something that can be spoken of positively here, and no one tried. President Clinton himself made a point of seeing reporters briefly in order to comment on the vote.
I hope that we can now move forward with this process in a way that is fair, that is constitutional, and that is timely. The American people have been through a lot on this, and I think everyone deserves that. Beyond that, I have nothing to say. It is not in my hands. It is in the hands of Congress and the people of this country. Ultimately, in the hands of God.
Mr. Clinton turned aside a question about whether he wants to testify during the committee hearings, but when asked about his mood...
Personally, I am fine. I have surrendered this. This is beyond my control. I have to work on what I can do.
Tonight, President Clinton is home alone. Mrs. Clinton is away in Arkansas. There are no fundraising dinners to go to, no banquets to attend. As far as we know, the president will be having dinner all by himself. After which, if his habits hold, Peter, he'll be on the telephone, reaching out to friends across the country, hoping for a little sympathy on this, the darkest day so far of his presidency.
Thank you, Sam. Sam Donaldson at the White House. ABC's Cokie Roberts joins us from the Washington Bureau tonight. Cokie, it was a very, as I said, sobering day for many people.
It was, Peter, and sitting in the chamber, which I did through the debate, was quite remarkable. Most of the time, there were many more people there than there are for most debates, even though they could be watching it back in their offices on TV. And there was more attention paid. There was some of the raucousness of the House of Representatives, with Democrats doing some catcalling and some clapping and cheering at various political points. But even though they knew they were going to lose, they also had some sense that this was important. And in fact, it is significant that the Democrats did have their own inquiry plan too, and almost all of them voted for it. So one way or the other, almost every single member of the House of Representatives today, only 10 voted against proceeding with some kind of inquiry of impeachment for the President of the United States.
And in a phrase, that's the most significant fact as far as you're concerned, that somebody voted, all except those 10, to have some kind of an investigation.
So there was nobody saying this is nothing, we should not go forward.
Okay, Cokie, thanks very much. Mr. Clinton becomes only the third president to face an impeachment inquiry. The first was Andrew Johnson in 1867. He faced numerous charges of corruption. Richard Nixon faced an impeachment inquiry in 1974. He was accused of obstructing justice and abusing his power. That was Watergate. So what now? The House Judiciary Committee will have an investigation. Witnesses will be called. And then the committee will vote on whether to submit articles of impeachment, formal charges against the president basically, to the full House of Representatives. If a simple majority in the House approves any article, the president is impeached, and the process then moves to the Senate for a trial. The senators act as jury. It would take a 2/3 majority in the Senate to convict the president and remove him from office. Andrew Johnson was impeached in the House but survived by one vote in the Senate. Richard Nixon resigned after the House Judiciary Committee passed the articles of impeachment. A lot of news in the days ahead. There's other important news tonight. On the money, American banks losing big overseas. What does it mean here? And drug company advertising by the numbers. We'll take a closer look at their claims.
This is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. Brought to you by T. Rowe Price.
I always liked building things. I built my first skyscraper when I was 7. Today, what I want to build most is a secure future for my son. So I took a few steps and called T. Rowe Price, the no-load mutual fund people. They have all these planning kits. You see, I prefer to do my own investing. Look, I've always been good with kits, even really big ones.
For over 50 years, we've been helping people invest with confidence. T. Rowe Price.
Buy a set of 4 selected Goodyear tires before November 28th and get a $50 or $100 U.S. savings bond. For the retailer nearest you, call 1-800-GOODYEAR.
So how is my pot roast?
Almost as good as Aunt Rosie's.
Well, it should be. It's her recipe. Oh. Let's call her. But it's long distance. Won't that be expensive?
Not if you dial 10-10-321 first. Saves a ton.
How's it work?
Just dial 10-10-321, then 1, then Aunt Rosie's number. Is it okay if we all say hello?
Sure, talk away. 10-10-321 is a real bargain. All my calls over 20 minutes are half price.
Let's pass that phone around. Rosie, does this smell familiar?
Who doesn't want to save 50%?
It was an extremely volatile day on Wall Street. Two of the most prominent supporters of the stock market boom significantly reduced their predictions for future growth, which early on sent the Dow Jones Industrials down almost as much as 270 points. The Dow finished down more than 9 points at 77.31. On the NASDAQ market, stocks lost more than 43 points. Among the hardest hit companies in the past 3 months have been the big investment banks and the brokerage houses on Wall Street itself. And what hurts on Wall Street is bound to be felt on Main Street. Here's ABC's Betsy Stark.
The easy money days are over. After years of record profits, America's big banks are on the ropes. Just look at the carnage. Since the stock market peaked in July, shares of Citicorp have fallen 56%. Chase Manhattan is down 47%. Bankers Trust, 61%. In the last 2 months, the stocks of the nation's top 25 banks have lost $350 billion in value, a sum equivalent to the entire economy of Australia.
The sentiment remains ugly, and it's a very treacherous and difficult market out there right now.
Banks have lost hundreds of millions of dollars on loans to Asia and Russia, losses now showing up in their earnings. The nation's top bank regulator says banks got careless about the loans they were making both abroad and at home.
Banks are making loans that are putting the banks at more risk. They have less protection in the event that the borrower has a problem.
American banks are not about to go under. Regulators point out that the top 25 banks have a cash cushion of more than $200 billion, and they continue to make money on consumer loans ranging from mortgages to credit cards. But people who have money in bank stocks can expect to take a hit, and that's a lot of people. Financial stocks, including banks, are in 3/4 of the mutual funds Americans own. Once again, the global economic crisis finds its way home. Betsy Stark, ABC News, New York.
Still on the money tonight, here's a benefits package that anyone might envy. American Airlines has actually been canceling flights because of a pilot shortage. Too many pilots are trying to take advantage of a quirk in the company's retirement benefits. By retiring now, they can get payouts from the airline's mutual fund based on stock prices in July. The fund was 10% higher than it is now, so getting out now means they may get hundreds of thousands of dollars more than if they wait. In Japan, that big gain in the stock market yesterday, gone today. Stocks down nearly 6%. Investors worried that a stronger Japanese yen will bring down the profits of the big Japanese exporters. And a bad sign today for businesses here that depend on high-end customers. The expensive steakhouse chain Morton's has watched its stock go down more than 30% in the past 2 days. Investors clearly believe that fewer people, especially those in the money business, will be buying steak on the expense account. When we come back, NATO allies evacuate their embassies in Belgrade.
Open wide. It's new Friskies Dental Diet. Boys, here's great tasting news you can chew. If you want strong choppers, you gotta keep them clean. Whoa, remember this guy? Never brushed.
New Friskies Dental Diet helps reduce plaque and tartar buildup by 25%. So now your cat can feast on Friskies and crunch his teeth clean with every bite.
Toothbrushes? Oh, poor humans.
New Friskies Dental Diet. Bring out the Frisky in your cat.
Traffic sounds bad.
Yeah, so tell me about Cantex.
Just jump to 43 even. You're long 20,000.
What's the best way to sell that?
Checking the quote. There's a huge size on the bid. No need to break it up. You can move it as a block.
Good, sell it at market, okay?
Placing an order, moving 20,000.
Moving nowhere in Santa Monica.
Confirmed, 20,000 sold at market.
Can you give me the peonies?
Linda. No, up here.
Why waste time checking office supply prices? You know you'll always get guaranteed low prices at Staples.
Thanks. Candy?
Thank you. Ooh, caramel. Ooh.
Staples has guaranteed low prices on everything for your office, like an HP cartridge for $23.88. Want great prices? Staples. Yeah, we've got that.
Nobody does it like you, the way that you do.
Mrs. Adams Vacuum makes cleaning carpets a real workout. Mrs. Stevens' new self-propelled wind tunnel by Hoover almost works by itself. And wind tunnel cleaners work so well, they pick up more dirt than any other clean air upright. Self-propelled wind tunnel.
Hoover, nobody does it like you.
Overseas today, the allies in the NATO alliance met, and most of them say they're prepared to try making the Serbs comply with UN demands in the Yugoslav province of Kosovo, which is taken in most minds to mean airstrikes. But the very tough questions now about airstrikes and then what? ABC's John McCarthy from the Pentagon tonight.
Fearing that airstrikes may be near, the American, British, and Australian embassies began evacuating families of diplomats from the Serb capital Belgrade. In London, there was a high-level meeting on Kosovo that seemed to produce new unity from key Western nations that airstrikes may be necessary.
The sense that we all had was that the time for diplomacy was running out.
But some members of NATO, the Italians and Germans among others, are still expressing doubts. And here's why. They point out that Serb leader Milosevic has stopped the violent offensive against the ethnic Albanians and has withdrawn many of his troops to garrison. They also are concerned about what would happen after airstrikes, the need for yet another massive peacekeeping operation in which the U.S. has already said it does not want to participate. NATO requires a unanimous vote to authorize airstrikes. Such a vote is scheduled for this weekend, but the outcome is still in doubt. John McCarthy, ABC News, the Pentagon.
Still overseas, there was a violent exchange of rocks and rubber bullets on the West Bank today. Only yesterday, the U.S. said there was a new spirit of accommodation in the Middle East. Palestinians in Hebron were protesting a week-long curfew. Israeli soldiers fired on them. One Palestinian was killed and at least 15 people were otherwise hurt. In northeastern Spain, an overloaded tour boat sank just off the shore of a lake in Catalonia. 20 people were trapped inside the boat and they died. The boat had nearly twice as many people on board as it was licensed to carry. In Sweden, the first of the Nobel Prizes was awarded today, this one for literature. The winner is José Saramago. He is a 76-year-old poet and novelist from Portugal. The Swedish Academy praised Mr. Saramago for his exuberant imagination and his compassionate parables. And for the first time tonight, a peek at the most distant galaxies that we know of in outer space. These are pictures from the Hubble telescope showing galaxies 12 billion light years away. That's the farthest that anyone has ever seen. Astronomers say it'll take super powerful telescopes that haven't been developed yet to tell us exactly what is out there. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at the claims that the drug companies make when they try to sell us the product.
They've had to do a little remodeling at Pizza Hut headquarters since their co-founder came out of retirement to become a Papa John's franchisee. See, he thinks Papa John's makes better pizza than even the company he helped found. Today, Frank owns over 70 restaurants.
Papa John's. Better ingredients, better pizza. He's got it.
Papa John's.
Hey, looks good here.
Try our Papa's Choice. That's a large pizza with your choice of up to 5 toppings for just $9.99.
55. What'll it be?
We'll take some rice and get some farf too.
Yeah.
Now you can choose which teams you see every Sunday with DirecTV and NFL Sunday Ticket. There's up to 13 regular season games a week.
Price check on farm.
Hey, Brett. Hey, John.
So stock up on all your favorites. NFL Sunday Ticket. It's not on cable. See it on DirecTV. So what are you looking at?
Attention shoppers. Now get $200 worth of programming when you get DirecTV.
Splendid-looking Lexus. Thanks. Like my Seville, no doubt a technological marvel. Blessed with the control of the world's most renowned driving system.
System?
Nope, that's right. You don't have the North Star system.
Seville. With all the power and control of the North Star system. Now just $549 a month. It's what's next.
Do I want to know how much? No, it would break your heart.
Seville. It's what's next.
Some people call it retirement planning. I think of this as future construction. Year by year, block by block, until...
It's our dream house.
Beautiful. But I was hoping we could afford to travel.
This plan can help make it happen. We can even make sure you've got worry-free income for life.
AXA. Dynamic vision. Equitable. A trusted resource. Call us. Equitable is a member of the Global AXA Group.
Morning, guys. Know how much cereal you'd have to eat to get the vitamins in one bowl of Total?
Nice bowls.
Total has 100% of 10 vitamins and minerals.
We'll take the Total.
Total. One bowl, 100%.
We're going to take a closer look tonight at the big sell from the drug companies. They have so many impressive statistics, as we know. But what's really behind the numbers? Suppose an advertisement says that a certain drug can reduce the risk of a serious medical condition by 50%. You might rush right out and buy what could be a very expensive prescription. The problem is the statistics from the drug company are not always the whole story. Here's ABC's John McKenzie.
While doctors write out the prescriptions, increasingly drug companies are advertising directly to you, the consumer.
Once a day relieves all nasal allergy symptoms.
Can help reduce your urge to smoke.
66% regrew some hair.
So many claims, but what do they really mean? For example, this ad, which ran earlier this year, for a drug to reduce cholesterol.
Pravachol, proven to reduce the risk of a first heart attack up to 1/3.
Stop. 33% looks very impressive, but you're not getting all the information.
Dr. Robert Ragno, a professor of medicine and pharmacology at Canada's University of British Columbia, has raised questions about many drug ads in North America. Like that Pravachol ad, claiming to reduce the risk of a first heart attack by up to 1/3, by up to 33%.
It's actually 2%, not 33%.
A big difference. So how did the drug company Bristol-Myers Squibb come up with such a higher number? It turns out during the Pravachol study, only about 8 patients out of every 100 actually suffered a first heart attack. Among those who took the medication, the rate dropped to a little less than 6 in 100. Yes, in relative terms, that's a reduction of about 33%. But when you look at the bigger picture, when you put those numbers in context, what we're really talking about is a difference of only 2 cases in 100, a risk reduction of 2%. Executives at Bristol-Myers Squibb declined to be interviewed for this story. While it is legal and common to represent scientific data this way, critics argue that it's misleading, that it leads people to the mistaken belief a drug will greatly reduce their odds of becoming ill.
This is a huge problem. It's responsible for over-prescription of a lot of medications.
This ad, which ran last year, doesn't cite any numbers.
Look, this is me.
Fosamax, made by Merck & Company, is for women with osteoporosis to build up bone and prevent fractures. The commercial ends with a warning.
Discover Fosamax. Ask your doctor. You can't afford not to.
You use this phrase, you can't afford not to.
That's right. If you are in the population that's going to be impacted, if you're in that population, then your chances of getting a fracture are reduced by almost 50%.
50%? During the Fosamax study, 6 women out of 100 actually suffered a fracture. Taking the drug reduced the rate from 6 in 100 to 3 in 100. But again, looking at it this way, going from 6 to 3 is a risk reduction of only 3%.
How can a patient make a proper decision? How can a physician make a proper decision?
Indeed, some studies suggest many doctors may not be much better than their patients at properly interpreting information from drug companies. When it comes to medications that can be expensive, that can affect your health, that can come with serious side effects, getting complete information can be vital. John McKenzie, ABC News, New York.
Live and learn. A final thought when we come back. A far corner of the earth got just a little closer today.
Is that my decaf cappuccino?
Weekenders are back.
No, that's my mocha latte.
Yep.
Every winter, people love to spend their weekends in St. John's Bay, like St. John's Bay wool and wool blend sweaters, cozy crew necks, comfy cardigans, perfect for chilly winter weekends, and only at JCPenney.
Excuse me, do they have kiwi almond bagels in there?
Only on the weekends.
JCPenney, I love your style.
It is the result of imagining without boundaries. Introducing the new Chrysler Concorde LXI. Roomy, luxurious cabin, 8-way power leather trim seats, and a concert-quality sound system. Concorde, ranked best premium midsize and initial quality by J.D. Power & Associates. Chrysler Concorde, built on the belief that great cars appeal to a more passionate side. Chrysler, engineered to be great cars.
Welcome to Heartburn 101, a required course if you have heartburn 2 or more times a week or aren't getting complete long-lasting relief. Frequent unresolved heartburn can signal a more serious medical condition caused by acid reflux.
With your doctor's help, you can finally get complete long-lasting relief all day and all night. Thousands who have heartburn 2 or more times a week have learned more by calling the American College of Gastroenterology at 1-800-HRT-BURN for this free video. 1-800-HRT-BURN and see your doctor.
Stop heartburn's pain for good.
ABCNews.com, the first place for news online. Get your news first from ABCNews.com, on the web, and America Online.
A brief review of the main story today. For just the third time in history, the House of Representatives has voted to launch an impeachment inquiry into the president. The measure to investigate Mr. Clinton passed by a vote of 258 to 176. And 31 Democrats, members of the president's own party, voted for a wide-ranging inquiry. Finally this evening, way out there on the frontier, and we mean way out there, Tristan da Cunha has logged on to the rest of the world. The people of Tristan da Cunha, all 300 of them, live farther away from other people than anyone else. In the South Atlantic, very south. The nearest neighbor is 1,500 miles away. Africa is just a little bit closer than South America. There's a pub, a golf course, and a cricket pitch. They are English, you know. And every week there's a dance. Communication with the rest of the world has been difficult. There's only one telephone, primarily for government use.
This is Penny Rogers.
The mail comes and goes by ship 6 times a year. But now we learn there is one computer, and they're on the internet. We sent them an email today. We haven't had an answer yet. Maybe they're too busy surfing. That is our report on World News Tonight. Later on Nightline, the impeachment process. How goes it in the heartland? I'm Peter Jennings. Have a good evening. Hope we'll see you tomorrow. Good night.
Tomorrow, John Glenn, America's first space hero. So why is he really going up there again? Symbolism or science? On World News Tonight with Peter Jennings. This has been a presentation of ABC News. More Americans get their news from ABC News than from any other source. ABC News, now always on.